Ready to dive back into the world of Harry Potter.
Always.
This time, we're taking a deep dive into the Chamber of Secrets, revisiting some of the most intriguing excerpts from the book. You know, those spine-tingling moments, unraveling those mysteries that make Harry's second year at Hogwarts so captivating. And to help us navigate all the magical twists and turns, we have our resident expert who, well, you know this world like the back of your hand.
I do love this book. It's got so much to unpack, really sets the stage for, some of those big themes and conflicts in the whole series. Like, it gets dark.
It does, absolutely. I don't know about you, but like every time I reread Chamber of Secrets, I'm just struck by how much like foreshadowing there is. All these little clues that you don't even realize are clues until later on, you know? But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind back to the beginning of the story. Remember Harry's summer with the Dursleys? Not exactly filled with sunshine and butterbeer, was it?
Oh, no, not at all. Poor Harry's stuck with them, magic suppressed, and then to make matters worse, he's visited by Dobby, a house elf with some, let's just say, rather unconventional methods, a floating pudding.
Honestly, I probably would have fainted.
All right.
But Dobby's not just trying to scare Harry with dessert, right? He's convinced that Harry's in mortal danger if he returns to Hogwarts. He even goes as far as to seal the magical barrier at King's Cross to stop him and Ron from getting to the Hogwarts Express. It makes you wonder, what is Dobby's concept of freedom? Especially since he's, bound to serve a wizarding family. It's complicated.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating question. Dobby's actions, they really highlight how complex house elf magic is. He's powerful, but he's also bound by these certain rules, certain loyalties. And his desperation to protect Harry, even against Harry's wishes, it just raises all these questions about free will.
Yeah.
The implications of magical servitude, stuff that we need to keep in mind as we go.
Oh, for sure. It's a theme that becomes even more important as the series progresses. But speaking of defying the rules, let's talk about Harry and Ron stranded at Privet Drive. Not many 12-year-olds would think, hey, let's steal Dad's flying car. But that's exactly what they do. I mean, brilliant.
Right. I mean, it wouldn't be a Weasley adventure without a little chaos, right?
Exactly.
That turquoise Ford Anglia soaring over London, it's iconic.
It's iconic.
But of course, their joyride doesn't exactly end smoothly.
Ooh, no. Remember the Whomping Willow incident? Talk about a rough landing. Not only do they damage Mr. Weasley's enchanted car, but they also end up in hot water with Snape and McGonagall. Did you ever wonder, though, if maybe there was a reason why they weren't punished more severely?
That's interesting. Their punishment was pretty light, considering what they did. Maybe there's something more to it. It definitely lands them in the spotlight. Further solidifying Harry's celebrity status, which has some interesting implications later on. People are watching him.
That's true. Harry can't seem to escape attention, even when he's just trying to get to class. And speaking of classes, let's shift our focus to those darker events that start unfolding at Hogwarts. The whispers of the Chamber of Secrets. They start circulating, and it's clear that this legend, it's more than just a scary story. This is real.
Yeah, things get serious, and then that message appears on the castle wall, warning of the chamber's opening. And then, well, the attacks begin.
Those attacks were terrifying. First, Mrs. Norris, Filch's cat, found petrified.
Creepy.
And then Colin Creevey, that first year, who was just absolutely starstruck by Harry. It shifts the whole tone, doesn't it? From this lighthearted adventure to something much darker. I remember feeling such a sense of dread while reading those parts, like something bad was going to happen.
Oh, it's definitely a turning point in the story. And, the attacks specifically target Muggle-born students. It's a big deal. It highlights a prejudice within the wizarding world, something that Rowling continues to explore throughout the series. The dangers of pure blood supremacy and how insidious discrimination can be. Like, it's scary how easily it spreads.
And of course, amidst all of this, the finger of suspicion starts pointing towards Harry. Talk about bad timing. He just happens to speak Parseltongue, the language of snakes, an ability often associated with dark wizards. I imagine that would make you feel pretty isolated, especially with everyone whispering behind your back.
Totally. And this is where things get really interesting. Harry's ability to speak Parseltongue links him, at least in the minds of many, to Salazar Slytherin, the founder of Slytherin House and the rumored creator of the Chamber of Secrets. So it fuels all this fear and mistrust surrounding Harry, which is a lot for a 12-year-old to deal with. And it forces him to really question his own identity. Like, who am I?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, is Harry truly destined for greatness as a Gryffindor? Or is there a darker path laid out for him?
Ooh, good question.
We'll continue to explore this as we delve deeper into the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, it's wild how, we're led to believe that Harry might actually be the heir of Slytherin. I mean, you really feel that suspicion, even though we know he's a good guy.
Right, like we're in on the secret.
Yeah, exactly. Rowling is so good at, playing with our perceptions.
Oh, she keeps you guessing for sure. And then, just when you think things can't get any weirder, Harry stumbles upon this, seemingly ordinary book,
The diary.
Tom Riddle's diary.
I remember being completely captivated by that whole part of the story. It seems so unassuming at first, right? But as Harry discovers, there's this powerful magic hidden within it.
Powerful and dangerous.
Yeah, a connection to the past. Imagine being able to interact with someone from 50 years ago. That would be
It would be incredible.
incredible.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens. Through the diary, Harry begins to, actually interact with a young Tom Riddle.
Yeah.
Who, seems like a pretty charming and ambitious student at first.
So charming.
It's like a glimpse into Voldemort's past, right? Long before he became, the Dark Lord we know.
Yeah, before all that.
Yeah.
And then, here's where it gets really interesting. The diary doesn't just allow Harry to communicate with Tom Riddle. It actually transports him back in time to witness events from 50 years before
Right.
time travel. Talk about a history lesson.
Intense history lesson.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is that Harry sees Tom Riddle accusing Hagrid of opening the chamber and unleashing the monster.
Oh, Hagrid.
And remember, at this point, we've come to know Hagrid as this kind, loyal friend. To see him painted in such a negative light, accused of something so dark, it's shocking.
It is. It totally changes your perspective on him. Even if it's just for a little while, it makes you question everything you thought you knew. Do you think Hagrid was truly capable of something like that?
It's a great question. Remember, we're seeing this all through Tom Riddle's memory, which, as we find out later, is not always reliable.
Oh, he's tricky.
Yeah, very tricky. He's already manipulating events, even back then. It's such a good example of how Rowling creates these complex characters and challenges our assumptions.
Oh, totally. And the tension just keeps building. Ultimately, Harry, Ron, and even the bumbling Lockhart, they venture into the Chamber of Secrets itself. Did you ever wonder why Lockhart was even chosen to teach defense against the dark arts in the first place?
Oh my gosh, he is so out of his depth.
I know.
It's hilarious, but also kind of scary.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, his incompetence really highlights the seriousness of the situation, right? It adds to the suspense because, the students can't rely on him for protection.
Mm-hmm.
And it all leads to that climax of the story where all the mysteries kind of converge.
Yeah, it all comes together.
Harry comes face to face with the monstrous basilisk. And the truth about the chamber's heir is finally revealed.
And it's mind-blowing. It turns out to be Ginny Weasley, Ron's younger sister.
What?
But as we quickly learn, it's not really Ginny pulling the strings, is it?
Not at all. Ginny's been possessed by Tom Riddle's memory, which is preserved within the diary. And this is our first real encounter with a Horcrux, an object that contains a fragment of Voldemort's soul.
A Horcrux. I remember that sending chills down my spine when I first read it. This seemingly ordinary diary was actually this dark object, this way for Voldemort, or at least part of him, to return to power.
Exactly. It's what makes the Chamber of Secrets so significant,
Mm.
because it lays the foundation for understanding Voldemort's quest for immortality and the extreme lengths he's willing to go to achieve it.
It's terrifying when you really think about it. And of course, Harry, being Harry, he ends up facing the basilisk head on, armed with only his wand and, little help from Fawkes, Dumbledore's Phoenix. It's such a heart-stopping battle, you really don't know if he's going to make it out alive. What are your thoughts on Fawkes' role in this battle?
He's so cool. Fawkes is such a fascinating creature. The phoenix, rising from its own ashes, represents rebirth, renewal. His tears heal Harry, which I think symbolizes Harry's resilience, his ability to overcome, even the darkest challenges.
Yeah, there's always hope.
It's a powerful image, right?
Oh, incredibly powerful. And in the end, Harry manages to destroy the diary using the basilisk fang, which frees Ginny from Riddle's control and basically vanquishes that part of Voldemort.
It's a huge victory for Harry. This victory in the chamber marks a real turning point, I think, in his journey. It's his first real victory against Voldemort, proving his strength and courage. You really start to understand why he's considered the chosen one.
That's a great point. It's not just some random act of bravery. It's a pivotal moment that shapes everything that comes after. And, there's a political side to this story as well, isn't there, with Lucius Malfoy and his connection to the diary?
Oh, yeah. Lucius Malfoy, Draco's father, he planted the diary on Ginny, hoping to use it to discredit Dumbledore and gain control of Hogwarts.
Classic Malfoy move.
Right. It's a good reminder that the adults in this world are just as flawed and ambitious as the children.
Oh, for sure. It's amazing how all these seemingly separate events, the attacks, the diary, all the political maneuvering, they all come together to create such a compelling story. It's like a giant puzzle where each piece is essential.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about the aftermath of the battle. The relief when all those petrified students are revived,
Yeah.
Hagrid's return,
The celebration.
and even the cancellation of exams is like a school-wide celebration.
He doesn't love that.
It's a satisfying resolution, but, as you mentioned earlier, there's also that lingering feeling that the danger isn't really over.
It really is like a calm before the storm. Knowing what we know about what happens later in the series, it's kind of eerie how quickly things go back to normal at Hogwarts.
Yeah, like nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that deceptive sense of security that makes it, even more impactful when things inevitably go wrong again.
Oh, for sure.
And, there's so many lingering questions from this story. What about Dobby? His, heroism, his willingness to defy his own kind to protect Harry. It's pretty amazing.
It's true. It makes you wonder, what would have happened if Dobby hadn't intervened at all? Would Harry have actually been in danger at Hogwarts? It's kind of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's trying to protect Harry, but he's also causing all this chaos and, interfering with Harry's free will.
Yeah, it's a good point. It really highlights how even the best intentions can have, unforeseen consequences.
Right.
Dobby's actions force us to think critically about freedom, what it actually means to act in someone's best interest, especially when they might not see it that way.
It's deep. And speaking of unintended consequences, we have to talk about Tom Riddle's diary. What initially seemed like a harmless old book turned out to be this, powerful weapon, a Horcrux designed to, lure unsuspecting victims into Voldemort's web. It's chilling to think about, especially knowing how easily Ginny was manipulated.
It really shows how insidious dark magic can be.
Yeah.
The diary didn't just, record memories. It twisted them, manipulated them to serve Voldemort's agenda. It's a good reminder that even in a world of magic, we have to be careful about what we believe, what we trust, who we allow to influence us.
That's a powerful message, and one that I think resonates even outside the world of Harry Potter. We all have to be wary of those who might try to manipulate us, especially those who seem charming or trustworthy on the surface.
Oh, absolutely. And the diary reveals something else about Voldemort, something crucial to understanding his character. He's not content with just, conquering the present. He's obsessed with controlling the past, rewriting history to fit his own, twisted narrative.
It's like he's trying to erase any trace of his own vulnerability, his own humanity.
Absolutely.
He wants to be seen as this all-powerful, invincible being. But that final confrontation in the chamber with the basilisk, Ginny possessed by Riddle's memory, it shows that he's not as untouchable as he wants everyone to believe.
Yeah, he's got weaknesses.
What stands out to you about that battle?
It's such a turning point for Harry. He faces his own mortality, his fear, and he emerges victorious. He proves his loyalty to his friends, his willingness to sacrifice himself for the greater good. And most importantly, he destroys a part of Voldemort's soul, a feat that will have huge implications for the entire wizarding world. It's a victory, but it comes at a cost.
Absolutely. Harry doesn't come out of that chamber unscathed. He's seen the darkness that lies within him, that connection to Voldemort that he just can't escape. It's a burden he carries for the rest of his life, really.
And that's the real takeaway from the Chamber of Secrets. It's not just a thrilling adventure. It's a story about confronting the darkness within ourselves, about understanding that good and evil aren't always so, black and white, and that even in a world of magic, courage, and resilience are the most powerful weapons we have.
So, as we leave the shadowy depths of the chamber behind, we're left with a final, thought-provoking question for you to ponder. What does it mean to face the darkness within ourselves? Is it something to be feared, rejected? Or is it an integral part of who we are, a force that can be, harnessed for good? It's a question that Harry will continue to grapple with as his journey unfolds.
And it's a question we can all ask ourselves, I think, as we navigate the complexities of our own lives. The Chamber of Secrets reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope, always the possibility of redemption, renewal.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We'll see you next time for another adventure.